Beautiful people, this is me, EL, your favorite columnist here at Blackout Magazine. And let me tell you, y'all gonna be excited, because I was excited when they said yes, they would come, you know what I'm saying, and chop it up with me. But this is not our first time chopping it up, but it's the first time that I'm the one asking the questions, so this will be super new for us. But I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and then we're gonna get started.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Shawn Aaron, he, him, his. Yeah, what else do you want? How do you want me to, what do you want me to say? Anything else or
That's good. I mean, if
okay.
that's all you want to tell them, I mean, we're going to get into it.
Okay. All right.
All right. You are the founder of Them Boys Inc., right?
Yes.
And could you share more about your personal journey as a black queer trans man and what led you to begin your medical transition in 2013?
Oh wow. So just life. I just felt like I not that I outgrew myself, but there was a little bit more of my identity that I needed to uncover. And so, first I was always like, oh, okay, I want to have top surgery no matter what. I don't care what it takes. And that was even before identifying as a trans man. I was like, the titties coming off.
Gotta go.
Gotta go. But then as I started to do a little bit of therapy and all of that stuff, I realized that who I was a little deeper than just identifying as a masculine woman. And so I explored what did that look like if, starting testosterone and identifying as a trans man. And so I shifted a little bit of my mindset and how I felt about myself and how I wanted to walk around in the world. And so I began my transition, like you said, in 2013, top surgery, testosterone. That was my journey. And so after doing that, I said, you know what? I want every trans man of color to experience, have the same joy that I'm having without the limitations of like medical coverage and all of that. And so that's when I started Them Boys Inc.
I love it. Um, how did your initial vision for Them Boys Inc. evolve from the inception to its current mission of providing financial assistance for gender affirming care and for trans men of color?
How did it start?
Yeah, how did your initial vision evolve to what it is today?
Well, my initial vision was just to provide financial assistance, so grants to for trans men of color to help them with their co-pays or just to help them with their gender affirming surgery costs. And that was just what I had in mind. Let's just do that, right? But since then, it has evolved into so much more, and so we provided the grants. But then when COVID came in 2020, there was a need in the community. I realized that folks, they were losing their jobs. Folks was at home, didn't have incomes, and I had went shopping for my family because I was blessed because especially with my regular full-time job outside of them boys, and so we had all the stuff that we needed. And I had took a thought and I was like, man, there's so many other folks out there in our community that probably aren't as privileged to be able to do this type of thing. I was like, well, what else can I do in conjunction with financial assistance to help trans men of color out in this country? And so that's when I kind of reflected on my own journey when I used to be homeless. Of I didn't have some of that stuff, tissue, towels, soap, all of that. I wasn't able to clean my body and brush my teeth. And so I was like, I'm gonna create or curate some care packages with all of these items for folks. No questions asked. All you gotta do is put in a request. And we sent the care packages. We sent over 350 care packages between 2020 and 2022. And so we added that to one of the things that we did. We no longer do the care packages now, but that was just something that we did during that time. And then in 2022, we started Them Boys podcast to amplify the voices of trans men of color through creative storytelling. And so, and with that, we also branched out and we have like a collaboration with trans men of color to create what visibility equals possibility means to them. So we also have folks, we have two designers so far that design for us. And so we also have our merch line that's representing what they view visibility equals possibility means. But it's also other folks in the community can wear it. So you can purchase merch items created by us for us Um, and it also helps to support our gender affirming surgery program. So,
I love it. I'm gonna have to give me some merch. I keep saying I'm gonna give me some merch.
yo, yeah, sweater, journal, t-shirts, whatever you want, we got it there.
That them t-shirts is hitting.
Yeah, for
Them
sure.
t-shirts is hitting. Yo, so I've been blessed to be on them boys podcast not once but twice. Or actually maybe no. Is it twice?
It was
Yes.
twice. Yeah.
It
Well,
was
one of
twice.
the episodes was split into two. So technically you could say three times.
Technically three times. And it was an awesome time all times, right? And where do you see it going? Or do you see it evolving into
Mm.
something else, or is there more coming?
Mm. Well, there's more seasons coming. I could say that. We've been blessed to. We've been funded by the California Department of Public Health up until 2028. So that's going to allow us to release two more seasons on the podcast, and so that would be 64 more episodes that we're going to be releasing. And so hopefully, once those 64 are put out, we're able to carry this on. I can see it evolving in ways of like having different aspects of the show, right? Maybe a co-host or maybe we have return guests coming on there. I would love to have a different variety of folks that are coming on there, right? Maybe we can get some trans men of color that are into politics, or you know what I mean, some other aspects of it. We've had trans men on there that have had their own babies. We've had lawyers. We've had folks that have transitioned later in life. We've had all a plethora of different journeys that we've shared on the show. So when I see evolution, I just see it carrying on. Right? I don't see a stopping point. I just want it to continue on, so we can continue sharing our stories.
I love it. Visibility is possibility is a core philosophy of them boys Inc. How do you measure the impact of increased visibility on the lives of trans men of color, and what further steps do you believe are necessary to enhance that visibility?
Hmm. I think our visibility is important, especially in this current climate. And folks are trying to erase us, right? And storytelling has been something that's been carried on in cultures for centuries, right? That's how we carry on language and tradition. And so when folks are telling their stories on the show, we're creating like this archive of trans men of color journeys and stories. So 10, 20 years from now, when folks look back, we're like, okay, what were trans men doing in this time in 2026? How were we surviving? How were we living? How were we, creating changes? And so I think of it as it's important. It's important. It's like a book. It's important. Books are important. Literature is important, history is important, and I feel like we are a part of like oral storytelling and history. That's important for folks to know that we've been here, we exist, we've always been here, really, right? And this is just another way. It's like adding language. It's just another way of being able to tell our stories in a different way. Did I
That
answer your question?
Yes, that definitely answered the question. You and I share a love of reading, and I'm seeing all of these things about these bans and this federal ban that they're talking about trying to pass, and you came to mind, you came to my mind,
Mm.
and what's your what would you say to someone who is um seeing this and they're either frustrated about what's happening, or they don't think that it is massively important what is happening?
I can't express enough how important this moment that we in. Um, how important it is. It's kind of hard to explain it into words, but it's just so many things on top of each other that's happening right now. But that is sometimes it's kind of overwhelming, and it's kind of confusing, and it just people want to tap out and say, "No, it's not that serious," because it is that serious and that is so overwhelming. I think that what's important about um, us being here and sharing our stories is that we are. Wait, no, let me. Can you re-ask me that question? I'm sorry. I want to make sure I answer it.
Okay. So with all of the bills that are trying to be passed, especially when we're talking about storytelling and them
Hmm.
trying to erase us from um, stories, books, and anything that would remotely speak about trans people, non-binary people, people of color. And what would you say to people who, on one hand, are frustrated with what is happening, and on the other hand, people who would say it's really not that important, that we have other things that we should be concentrated on?
Mm. For folks that are frustrated, stay mad, stay pissed off, stay moving into action, because we want to get on their nerve. We don't want to be complacent. And then they say, well, they don't care about their rights, so we just gonna continue on and write them out of the history, right? No, but for folks who aren't paying attention, or don't get me wrong, there are plenty of things we could be thinking about. There's so many other things, right? The cost of everything is so high. So people, the first thing you think about is how I'm gonna buy groceries, how I'm gonna feed my kids, how I'm gonna put gas in my car. Gas is crazy where I'm at. Gallons of gas here in some places is $8.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I can understand that. Yeah, I need to worry about how I'm gonna fill my car up and how I'm gonna get to work. And me worrying about trans folks is the least of my worries right now. But especially if you trans identify, you should never forget, because it's is as easy as it is for folks to pass these laws, it's easy to be erased. And so we want to stay pissed off. We want to stay pissed off and stay diligent in what we're doing. I think when I think of when I think of, and I always reflect on this in my mind. I just recently saw the book Eli, Denzel Washington. For some reason, I could never get through it. I would always fall asleep. It just felt so boring to me until I finally did. And that's what I think about when it's about erasure and storytelling. Because you hold that, I won't spoil it for folks who haven't seen the movie, but if you hold everything that you need to say and then to the end, it's like storytelling, right? You telling your stories, you carrying that vision on, you carrying what you've done on, and then at the end you passing it on to somebody else. And I think of it as that we have to stay diligent and letting folks know about what's going on in our lives, and don't get tired of it, because the fight continues. That's just real.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
Um, how does them boys Inc. collaborate with other organizations or allies to amplify impact and reach?
Mm. I wish that we would do more of it, to be honest with you. So for folks that's listening, if you want to collaborate with them boys, we're here and open for collaboration. I wish would do more of it. We have done collaborations in the past. We did collaborations in the past with like our care packages during COVID. We've issued not only we partner with organizations, not only sending out care packages to our community, but also their community of folks as well, right? Grocery cards and different things that we did, but we always looking to partner with other, because we can't do this work alone, and what somebody else is doing and what we're doing may kind of coincide with each other, but if we work together, it can become a stronger network.
Now, how do you select guests for the podcast?
How do I select guests? Oh, so excuse me. Um, well, I currently have a production assistant. His name is Joel Simu, and he really helps to bring on guests. But I say this all the time, if folks ever listen to me. I'm an Instagram stalker. I will stalk you on Instagram. So I may not follow you, but I'm stalking you. So if your page is not private, I'm stalking you. So that's usually how I get guests onto the show. And I realize that me and Joel are kind of similar because he's a stalker too. So he stalks pages, I stalk pages, and then we collaborate and say, hey, I saw this one trans guy on Instagram, or somebody that we know within our community, and so typically Joel will reach out. Sometimes I will too. If I know you personally, I will reach out, but most of the time it's Joel who reaches out.
Uh, So the podcast aims to provoke discussions about gender, building a sense of belonging, lifting up lived and professional experiences, increasing visibility, and reduce stigma. What kind of feedback have you received from listeners regarding the
Mm,
podcast impact on these areas?
mm. We get a lot of feedback. I get emails all the time about folks that listen. Um, I've one that comes to mind is someone was listening to my episode about homelessness. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's episode 3. And they were saying at that moment they had just discovered the podcast and they were listening to that episode while they were currently homeless and living in their own car. And so they were saying that listening to my story and seeing where I am now gives them hope to keep pressing forward. We get I get messages all the time about how they folks usually say, "Oh, I didn't know that this podcast existed. Oh my God, I didn't know there were so many stories from other trans men of color. This is a great, sometimes this is a platform. We need this outlet to get our stories out." I just recently, not even like a couple of days ago, when I identified as masculine ascender woman, I was friends with someone. It was kind of I was friends with their girlfriend at the time. But anyway, I haven't talked to them in years. Years. Maybe I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years, 8 years ago. They just hit me up like 3 days ago and said that the podcast is changing their life. And they now identify as a trans man. I had no idea. I didn't tell him about listening to the show. I ain't talked to him in years, right? And so that's just a testimony of how important it is for us to be visible, how important it is for us to tell our stories because we don't know who's looking, who's watching, who's listening. And just to know that somebody that I haven't even talked to in years, just my story and other guests on this show have had an effect on their life to where they like, yo, they wanted to reach back out to me and like, yo, I appreciate this platform. Really, this is really helping me decide what I'm doing with my own life and my own gender identity. So,
I love it.
yeah.
I love the podcast, by the way, as you should know. As someone who leverages lived experiences to address systematic issues related to non-biased healthcare and gender-affirming surgery, what are the most pressing policy changes or societal shifts you advocate for?
Loosely, leaving us the fuck alone. Excuse me. Can I curse on here?
Yes, you can.
Okay, leaving us the fuck alone. First of all, because what I'm doing, what they got to do with you in your life? Nothing. What I eat is not gonna make you shit. But I really think, even as okay, if people want to draw a line in the sand, I'm not saying that this is an okay line, but if you want to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, we don't want gender affirming care for youth, I don't agree with that. So I'm gonna say that straight up. I don't agree with that. But to tell an adult, I'm an adult, you an adult, to tell me you can't tell me what to do in my own life.
Right.
That's mostly what I'm advocating for. Leave my care alone. Leave anybody's care alone, really, right? Leave women's care alone. Leave children's care alone. Just leave everybody's care alone. That's not your business. Deal with the politics that you're dealing with and not policing people's bodies and their and how they take care of their health. But that's one of the things that I advocate for is about allowing folks to live their life. Gender affirming care is life saving. However you want to look at it, it is life saving. It saved my life. It's saved many other lives. And folks folks should realize, and I'm talking about like cis hetero folks. We all have gender affirming care, whether that's the product you put in your hair, or the lip gloss that you put on your lips, or the fingernail polish you put on your nails, right? All of that is gender affirming to you, right? The type of shoes you wear, all of that is. So folks don't realize that we have the ability as human beings. We can choose however we want to express ourselves and however we want our bodies to feel comfortable to us. Leave everybody else alone. So leave us alone. That's what I advocate for.
Leave us alone. You mentioned that you aim to close the generational divide for for trans men of color. How do you foster intergenerational dialogue and mentorship within the community through them boys and the podcast?
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry. This motorcycle. I couldn't hear you.
Oh no, you fine. You've mentioned that you aim to close the generational divide for
Mm,
trans men of color. How do you foster intergenerational dialogue
mm,
and mentorship within the community through Them Boys Inc. and the podcast?
mm. So first is having guests on the show that are in different generations. That was what you talked about on your show, on your episode, right? About transitioning later in life. I remember your episode because I called you my elder, and not an elder just based on transitional spirit experience, but just life experience in general, right? And so I've had younger folks on the podcast. I also mentor young trans men. Also, I've currently, Joel originally, who was our production assistant, originally our relationship started out as me mentoring him because he didn't know any older trans men, any older black trans men specifically, right? And so that started. And so then I was like, hey, would you want to just come work for us, right? So that's how that blossomed. But I also have mentored other folks that are younger than me. Um, I think it's important because, it helps to guide the youth for one, right? And when I say visibility equals possibility, it gives the younger trans folks the opportunity to know that you can get old. I didn't know that. I
Right?
did not know that. I didn't know I was going to be the age that I am right now. I didn't know that. And so I think it's very important to help close the gaps in communication and just in experience in general, right? To leverage that. Our relationships, because I can learn from a younger person and they can learn from me. So,
I feel that. Let's see. What advice would you give to an inspiring ugh. What advice would you give to an aspiring person trying to start out? Because I can't say the word now for some reason. Entrepreneur. That's it. That's the word.
mm,
What advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur or advocates who are passionate about creating change within their community?
I would say partnerships, finding partnerships and also finding a mentorship. When I just even for me when I started out, that's what I asked a lot of questions. I asked a shit ton of questions. I found a mentor. I had folks to guide me in the direction of like, okay, so I want to do this. How do I do that? If somebody is not already doing it, but if somebody is doing something that's similar to your vision, I say do a partnership. It can be stronger because sometimes maybe somebody didn't see it in the ways that you see it, right? And so in collaboration, you can make things uh, grow and blossom even bigger. But I would definitely say partnerships and mentorships.
Look, for the longest time, I was looking for a mentor, man.
Mm.
I was like, I never did find one though, but I digress. Anyway,
Wait, what age were you when you was looking for a mentor?
I mean, when I started transitioning in my 40s, I was looking for,
Mm,
a mentor, somebody I could talk to about stuff. And then, when I started my nonprofit, I was looking for someone who I could bounce ideas off of, who could, you know, kind of guide me in maybe people I should be asking about grants and or
mm.
where to apply for them or that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I never was that lucky, really. But then, when I started writing for Blackout, I'd say our editor Tamara Lee, that's my dog, but I really would say that she is a mentor in ways like as far as thinking about branding and things I should be doing or things that would increase my brand, that kind of thing. Like she has been super super helpful and a super cheerleader. Shout out to Tam. She is an awesome, awesome, awesome individual who doesn't mind like sharing knowledge and stuff like that. So she's been very helpful because, you know, Like I said, when I started doing the book reviews initially, at first I didn't think anybody be interested in hearing about a dyslexic dude that reads a lot of books, right? And so she encouraged me to step out into that, and now I'm doing a podcast for book therapy, and like that's just opening up so many other doors. And yeah, it's been kind of dope. I gotta say that it's been kind of dope for
I
sure.
love that. I love that.
Yeah. All right, so you know how you do that thing, you pull out the question out the jar.
Uh, yeah,
So
you got it. You gonna ask me a question?
I am gonna ask you a question, right?
Okay.
So here, right? So
Hmm.
here we do this thing because my sister always told me that words mean things. So what would be a word that you would leave with my peoples, and why that word until the next time we see you?
Oh, first word that came to my mind: explosive.
Mm,
Meaning, in everything that you do, be explosive with it. Be. I don't know how to explain it. Just explosive. However that means to you, right? With the work you're doing, be explosive with it. Don't be mild and don't be, timid about it. There's a lot of work out there that needs to be done. Go full force and be explosive.
I like it. I like it.
Mm.
All right. So tell the people where they can find you, where they can find them boys podcast, everything they need to know, where they can link up. Let them know.
For sure. So you can find me on Instagram personally, Shawn Aaron 81. You can find Them Boys organization at themboys.org. That's DEMBOIS.org, or on Instagram at Them Boys Inc. We have a YouTube channel at Them Boys Inc. What else? You can listen to the podcast. Actually, you can listen to the podcast directly on the website for free. While you're on there, go ahead and check out some of the other stuff we have to offer, including our merch. You can also hit our donation page. We just hit 10, we're celebrating 10 years of Them Boys in 2026. And so we have launched our 10 for 10 campaign, and that's encouraging supporters to donate $10 a month, which honors 10 years, to help us to build on this work, to build our gender affirming surgery grant fund. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere where you listen to podcasts. Really, we're there. So be sure to just support us, show us some love.
Y'all heard that. Make sure y'all check them out. Show them some love. I personally have committed to the 10 for 10.
Yes, you
So,
have.
hey, if y'all got it, go on that website and commit. Hey, ain't nobody coming to help us. We got to
Yes,
help ourselves.
absolutely.
So, if you got it, and if you don't got it, share it. Share
Mm,
it. Because
yes,
somebody might see it that got it. Okay? All right, y'all. So it's been a blast, but I gotta go. So y'all know the drill. Y'all need to be subscribing to Blackout Magazine so y'all know where we're going, what we doing, and who we talking to. So to the next time, y'all take it easy.